Identified by its interesting culture and artifacts, the Indian civilization is one of the most ancient civilizations of the world. Its influence in Southeast Asia is believed to date back 200 BC. Its powerful cultural influences and contribution in the region were transmitted mainly through trade, migration, and other commercial contact. Active cultural borrowing allowed the spread of Indian ideas and cultures in the region. By the time the Indians came, Southeast Asia already has sophisticated, diverse, and independent cultures. India's geographical proximity to Southeast Asia not only allowed the ancient links of trade and commerce, but also untraceable affinities in culture and civilization. This include the Sanskrit language and script, literature like the Ramayana and Mahabharata, art and architecture, concepts of social and political structures, and of course, religion and spirituality. There were three popular theories on how the Indian beliefs and practices were transmitted. First is the Kshatriya theory, stating that the castes of Indian warriors colonized the region through war. The theory is founded on the basis that such influence would most probably require extensive power and forceful means. It further suggests that military conquest would be the most effective way of achieving that. The second theory is the Vaishya theory, attributing the Indianization process to the Indian traders and merchants. Trade allowed them to travel the region and probably had mutual exchange of ideas and practices with the local people. They could have also married local women and added to the spread of Indian culture. The Brahmin theory seems to be the most plausible among the three theories. It credits Brahmins, the highest member of the caste system, for transmitting the Indian culture. Indianization wasn't just about the exchange of traditions and practices. It also involved complex and abstract topics like politics, kingship, and the universe. Brahmins are the best fit given they knew Sanskrit codes about law, government, art, and architecture, aside from the religious specialty. Southeast Asia is predominantly influenced by Indian religious influences. Indians brought Buddhism and Brahmanism, the predecessor of Hinduism, to those residing in the coastal shores, as their main link to the region was the sea. These religions and their corresponding belief systems assimilated evenly because indigenous spiritual customs and traditions were similar to that of Buddhism and Hinduism. Both religions focus on peace and non-violence towards all living things. They also believe in karma, which states that past actions affect the present and future, and in reincarnation or rebirth, as well as salvation. Their spiritual practices also include meditation, concentration, and states of mind. Hinduism is said to be the oldest living major religion in the world. Unlike most other religions, Hinduism has no single founder. It has no single scripture and no commonly agreed set of teachings. The main Hindu texts are the Vedas, which literally means knowledge, and other supplements and books based on the Vedas. Many scriptures discuss Dharma, which can be rendered as the Hindu code of conduct, law, or duty. Most Hindus believe in Brahma, their supreme god and the creator, whose qualities and forms are represented by the multitude of deities which emanate from him. There are four main sects within Hinduism. First is Shaivism, in which Shiva, the destroyer and transformer, is worshipped as the main god. Second is Vaishnavism, wherein the main god worshipped is Vishnu, the preserver. Shaktism is the third sect, primarily worshipping the female aspects of God. And lastly, Smartism, wherein six main gods are worshipped, namely Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti, the mother goddess, Ganesh, the god of success, Murugan, the god of war, and Surya, the god of sun. Buddhism is a tradition that focuses on personal spiritual development. Buddhists strive for a deep insight into the true nature of life and do not worship gods or deities. The two major schools of Buddhism are Theravada Buddhism, which remained closest to the original teachings of the Buddha, and Mahayana Buddhism, which teaches that enlightenment can be attained in a single lifetime and can be accomplished even by a lay person. There is no belief even in a personal God. Buddhists believe that nothing is fixed or permanent, and that change is always possible. Buddhists also believe that life is both endless and subject to impermanence, suffering, and uncertainty. That the path to enlightenment is through the practice and development of morality, meditation, and wisdom. Buddhists seek to reach a state of nirvana, following the path of the Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, who went on a quest for enlightenment around the 6th century BC. He was born into a royal family in present-day Nepal over 2,500 years ago. Siddhartha was led from the pain of suffering and rebirth towards the path of enlightenment and became known as the Buddha, or the Awakened One. The Hindu influences in Southeast Asia arrived at different time periods over many centuries along with South Asian practitioners, and as determined by the internal and external factors, the intensity of their impact also varied. The spread of the religion across the Bay of Bengal to several regions of Southeast Asia is reflected in the use of Sanskrit, the adoption of Hindu deities for worship, the acceptance of the Hindu devotional movement or bhakti, and the construction of religious edifices such as the Hindu temple. Indian migrants also brought with them traditional arts and used Sanskrit as a sacred language. Over time, forms of Hinduism developed, which incorporated aspects of local cultures in Southeast Asia. Although Hinduism has been eclipsed by Buddhism and Islam throughout Southeast Asia, large numbers of Hindus continue to practice their faith. In Indonesia, as many as 20 million believers can be found, with numbers particularly concentrated in Bali, Central Java, East Java, and Lampung provinces. In Malaysia and Singapore, Hinduism remains the principal religion of ethnic Indian minorities. The spread of Buddhism along the Silk Routes in Asia reflected the hegemony of India and the value of universal ethics rather than community or caste-specific. It appealed to merchants and foreign rulers to authorize for the spiritual value of their occupation. Further, it is believed that the Buddhism spread emphasized the meaningfulness of its teachings, the magical power of its teachers, and the close relationship between Buddhist monks and local kings. While Buddhism flourished in Southeast Asia, The religion declined in its original country, India. Buddhist temples in the region is highly recognizable by their high steep roofs and bright colors paint. They are usually adorned with gold and are also loaded with religious artworks. This includes statues or sculptures depicting Buddha, which varies regionally, reflecting both the original Indian iconography and the local ethnic and cultural influences. Buddhist monks reside in these temples and serve as the caretakers since they choose to lead a life of poverty and have few possessions. Theravada Buddhism is more popular in Southeast Asia. It is considered an established religion of Cambodia, Myanmar, Laos, and Thailand. Vietnam is the only mainland ASEAN state where both Mahayana Buddhism and Confucianism predominate. But it should be also noted that Hindu-Buddhist religions prevails in Bali, Indonesia, and some other parts of maritime ASEAN.